Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I think it's time we go back to some DVD reviews for a change because, well, this is something I really wanted to just discuss about for a bit recently. And um, a couple of years or a couple of years ago, I used to have these two DVD sets, which was a long time ago. And this is probably the most uh, MTV show version would be the first version for a family use the word fuck or any profound language or saying towards any other family show they recently been on originally. But this type of family show really is more just not your typical family show. It's very well continued for this a little bit too British, as I could say, a little too naive, or basically just all around just basically funny. I mean, this rock and roll, the Prince of Darkness, of course, himself, Ozzy Osbourne, really is pretty much the most the kind of family man who knows to bring comedy. What TV show I refer about? Well, what of course I talking about? The Osbournes. That's what we're going to talk about today. I am putting on Music Reviews. Welcome back. Yeah, well, what can I say about the Osbournes? Well, here's the things that I like about them. I would say this before I go off and basically show off the complete series. Well, basically explain about the entire story. Well, it's not your typical family show, really. It's far more than that, Richard. There's a lot of reasons there, but this is the shortest, easy version of this. I think about the Osbournes. They're more just the average, family going in uh, um, famous people from Mason Noah's Richard from Ozzy Osbourne, of course, by the head of the band, of course, in a couple of, I think about like 50 years ago, something like that at the time. And what I like about the show, it's very well quite driven in many ways because you see the family be more as just the typical family, but when they start swearing and all this gossip and basically causing fights one another, it's a very well typical family good show. And personally, from my journey as a TV show enthusiast, I love watching stuff like that because, I mean, there have been some family shows I have recently seen, like Family Times, um, the whole shebang of the late '90s shows which they came out, of course, the '80s and '90s. But the Osbournes really just take television a whole new generation because they just basically just go off and swearing and just leaping to one another. I mean, personally, as a as for me, for myself, I thought the Osbournes were really well funny, especially I think in the first episode when they just move into their first new um, mansion house, I guess you call it, or just basically just standard bits of Hollywood Boulevard, Beverly Hills Boulevard house that is basically this I like afford it. But anyway, but like I said before, the idea I like about that episode is that you can actually see the family be more as a uh, well-being, healthy, well, very well charming family in some ways. But if you look at some of the episodes, the way of Jack and Kelly getting fights with one another, or basically seeing Ozzy working on the darn television, which is basically he's not really well good with electronics. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, who ever really just calling himself the Prince of Darkness doesn't know how to work on a combination of TV. I mean, personally, it just really just funny seeing him just basically struggling of how he could just really use that remote and trying to just find the local channels and basically whatnot. But But he's very well learning based about technology. It's a bit just in some ways in some I think TV show commercials. But personally, to my experience of the Osbournes, it's pretty well a good show, originally, really, because they very well are responsible family, but they just basically swear so much on their show, and they just basically have no contention of what they say or what they do or cannot do. So I don't know why people don't necessarily don't like this show. But I mean, when I was watching it, and this came out in what's this came out? I think it came out in 2003. I mean 2003. I think that would probably it. Yeah, I think that's probably right. Yeah, but what I like about the show is it's an outgrowth version of family, just basically going along with with their problems or with their solutions. Especially, I think one episode when they had their meeting, discuss about this United Light, how you know people coming around the house smoking dope and all that stuff, or just basically make a loud noise, which is in the game room, of course. Which is that episode was pretty well explanatory why you know Jack and Kelly are a lot more different than any other uh, child who has basically been who've been celebrized into the celebrity business industry. So, for that in mind, they are more just kind of like the average, preteens, just trying to just basically be normal and have a very well simple life with a father who is a most probably heavy metal star who just really just be recognizable. I mean, he's a guy who bite the hair out of the bat. I mean, there's really no point about it. He's the king of the darkness, I guess, or the prince of darkness, you guys call it. But deep down, they're just more just the average family, just basically doing wacky humor. So for the TV show, it's actually just hilarious. I mean, there's just so much episodes I cannot explain to what I think about it. But personally, as for me, myself, personally, it's pretty well. Cause now the first season really start to kick off, of the family trying to, you know, start out living in a new home, but also basically start cause make chaos, madness, whatever for the neighbors. Especially, I think one episode when one of the neighbors respect Ozzy Osbourne, but he doesn't respect the rest of the family. So to my extent, okay, all right, you respect Richie's music, you respect his being as an artist, but you don't respect the family. I mean, that's something important Richard you have to give Richard because, deep down he chose to be with Sharon. I mean, not just he just did, he just knew Richard when he was being his previous wife. They didn't really have much in common. So that being said, for Richard, this is explanatory why certain fans out there who are Ozzy fans who really listen to his music really don't respect or visit the family. So I don't know what that is about. But what I love about the first season, this is actually really the course of the first season, which is right here. So let me get a nice closer look. And this is actually the prime example for all the curse words that they actually say on the television are duplicate in here. So if you want to listen to their uncensored and uncontroversial slangs and words and they saying, definitely pick up the first season. I mean, it's actually just brilliant. Now, compare for the second season of The Osbournes, it's far more, a little bit more different than basically season one. Now, to be fair, you get to see a little bit more of them, a little bit more or less kind of immature about. But I think what I like about in season two is that you can actually really see Kelly Osbourne be able to have her own record deal, which explained that towards in the first season she was basically planning on hopefully be as a star, which as her father was. But deep down, it just kind of really just a letdown version for what she basically is accomplished with. But for compare for that, it's explanatory original why, and that how the Osbournes are more just the average family that you basically see right around your neighborhood. They're more, well, not as violent, but they're very well just like slander, just basically outrageous, and even completely just trying to be more inappropriate as they can, Richard. Because you do see them, Richard, basically be more immature, Richard, as you can, Richard. But that being said, I think they're a very well decent, good family, and I don't see the point of the base of that. I just see them as a really well go-to group of family. Yes, they have some arguments and disagreements, and there's basically fight over one another, but they still remain as a family. And even if they're not like the Kardashians family, they still just maintain themselves as a family figure who are stick together and knowing that they will stick together until the day they die. So that's really explanatory. So basically, in season 1, this is the total uncensored DVD edition. There is another DVD edition without the basically this brand logo right here with the one that says "Total Rush Outrageous" and Digital Certain Language. This is actually the prime example of the basis of this, because when you pop the DVD in, you can actually hear the language what they were saying. So that's definitely a plus for sure. Because I had this in my collection, I think like years ago. It's been a really long time, but with that being said, I think this is actually a pretty prime example why the MTV didn't approve originally having basically having Osbournes having their own reality show. So for that in mind, it's pretty well conspiratory. So this is season 1. Give me a nice front cover. But there we go. Then on the spine, you got a nice version, just the Osbournes logo with the Sharon, Ozzy originally. Right now, they just get a little closer. Yeah, there you go. And on the back, it's loaded with basic featurette stuff. It's like really just loaded. And then if we go inside into the case, give you the exact same picture of this one. This is just basically boxing, a little bit of wooden version, whatever. Then when you flip it over the side, the logo, and on the back there's the dog Maggie. Then they add your own version from the episode. I think they own episode 2. And we open it up. Make sure I get this version nice. Got enough. Wait. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see how good it is. Okay. Open it up. You got the family in their prosperous form with the major digital booklet, which we'll show you later. And if you open it up, nice disc artwork, and behind these nice discs in the booklet, there we go. Try not to damage this. We got a total of pictures of basically the Osbourne family, along with their pets. We have, I think, Loda, Maggie, a couple other dogs. I think this dog is named Lulu. I'm not sure. And the cat maybe is Puss. See, I'm really not remember originally. This is the first time getting back this in the collection. And I'm very happy to originally get it back because I actually sell it a chunk of the original of it. And I guess Richard from that really mine Richard is kind of like my back. But I got it back in the collection. But it doesn't stop there. In addition to that, you got a nice, this cool booklet. And the booklet, give you guys Richard. The book is actually loaded with something interesting that a lot of people have never ever seen. It's an info base of the Osbournes, of their personal version, their experience basically beyond the reality TV show, and then originally go from there. Got a nice originally picture base of the pets and the features, and then if we go to here, there's just a Ozzy bingo with a bleep out word they were not supposed to say. It's kind of like this is like a mini game version on the back, or you just got a list of episodes. It's 10 episodes per turn disc. What I found it pretty obvious about in season 1, there's actually 9 episodes on the first disc, and only 1 episode of the 10, which is the 10 episode, was only one for I can't pronounce it. There's actually 9 episodes on one disc, but 1 episode on the second disc. So deep down, they put so much concepts like commentary and then all that other stuff, which I was playing until the features, and then they put the features and the 1 episode on the second disc, which is that's fine. That's the kind of explaining about the bit rate. The bit rate, I think the of the episodes are probably like 6 or 7 kilobits per second. So that's something originally I was kind of curious of that. And then we go to season 2. Now, this is a nice slim case. Well, this is actually just a standard DVD case with the family and the pets. And of course, up the spine. This is a Miramax DVD release. I thought this was supposed to be a MTV release, but they released the original on Miramax. So, I mean, not Miramax. Yeah, I think maximum. I don't know why I said that originally. I think that's the word. And low basically with features along with basically the pets. And we're gonna open it up. We just got a nice 2-disc set of the discs. So you have 9 episodes on 1 disc, and 1 episode of the 10 episode on disc 2. So not too bad. I mean, it would be something like the kind of incorporate something like this, because you got pretty well interesting, good artwork, and actually a pretty awesome, good booklet. But deep down, it doesn't have that. And then if we go to here, we have just a paper sleeve brochure of the episodes. And we go to the back. This basically is explaining that if you forgot about something about the Osbournes season 1 on the 2-disc DVD, this tape brochure to basically pick that up. I have seen this version on Amazon for probably I think it was probably 14 or maybe probably $10, Richard, for these sets. But for this one, this is kind of explanatory why it doesn't have the slipcover. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe this didn't really incorporate with that versus with the first season because it didn't really make any much sense about it. So really not making a big deal. Okay, so in terms of special features, we have over more than 5 hours of bonus footage, including unaired, unaired footage that I've never seen. 2 Ozzy for TV, a bleeper revealed. It's actually a comedy. It's actually an outtake of the basically the behind the scenes of them doing the season, the first season, and there are some bloopers and some outtakes they actually take it, which is pretty kind of fun and kind of interesting. And then we have a Ozzy 10 conferences. Now that is actually a nice good feature because you can actually see a pretty well good feature when you click on the I think the Semna's titles, subtitles button, and if you press that button, you can actually go to Ozzy's conferences when just him alone, Ozzy Osbourne, speak his own words by using word fucking hell or calling out Sharon's name or all that stuff. Which and there's some funny images in each episode in that feature, because if you see, I think in episode 2 when they actually put the subtitles when Ozzy was speaking, and they actually put a drawing of I think a living being's ass crack white was of Ozzy's face. So it's kind of like funny because there's just some very well funny and very well kind of ridiculous images that in those subtitles when Ozzy's speaking. So it's just him alone just basically speaking his own words about very conservative words that you don't hear properly him basically know what he's speaking of. So that's a pretty well fun feature. Never before seen interviews with the cast have subjects like the family values, Ozzy Vest, the life of the set of the Osbournes, the untold story of Mike, the security guard. And that's a pretty awesome feature right there because it explains of Mike, securing the Osbournes house in Beverly Hills, California. But he actually got arrested and almost about to get completely shot up and murdered by, I think it was by the California police. I think it was probably like 9 or basically 10 police cop cars coming in the Osbourne's house. And I'm not quite sure what it was, but I think during that feature, towards that in the interview, he actually was basically caught guarded with one of the neighbors spotting a person coming into the Osbourne's house, which is, that explanatory Richard for what. So pretty interesting, Richard. That Ozzy transfer highlights, season highlights. Yeah, that's a really kind of crappy feature. It just basically does say first season I've seen some highlights which they just basically put in, so really just not really pretty interesting. But if you want to basically, then definitely recommend to get in it if you really get into it. Episode commentary track with the Osbourne family. Setup games. We have Name That Dookie. Match That Dookie with the Dog. Yeah, that's a pretty kind of dull. I mean, it's not really dull. It's actually just like match up the quote unquote dog shit to match up with the dog. So you basically are matching the dog shit with the dog is basically who take a dump of each episode, which it's a fun game, but somehow it's kind of really just kind of weird. But that's on the set, so it's pretty well fun. If you want if you like the experience of something, like that, definitely worth pick this up. Anyway, any scenes. A user will use the scrapper of a 5-minute substance of the show using the valuable clips. Yeah, that's a pretty dull version feature right there. It just basically, it's kind of like editing. If you're editing your own episodes or whatever, it's kind of like that. But you're just taking the first season of the episode, and you're just editing some parts of the clips and chopping down and make it as kind of like, I guess, your own 5-minute run down the episodes for your own episode for the Osbournes, which is kind of boring, but pretty interesting. We also got Ozzy's bingo game, DVD ROMs, materials, food, entertainment, arcade game, the gallery of the Osbournes, video, websites, links. Yeah, that's a pretty well dull version. I don't know why they put that there. I think it's so stupid. They actually quote-unquote game membership. Central features, Dolby Digital Mobile Sound. The full screen is actually 33 1 frame rate, and it is full screen because they shot the entire episodes in full screen, which is using a standalone full screen camera, which that's pretty explanatory, which is that, certain TV shows like that originally does shoot in full screen, so you just have a full pixelated box area. Like, for instance, if I'm shooting like this, like I'm recording right now for you, I'm actually shooting in full screen, or on widescreen, whatever you call it. But usually it's like very well considered, just like kind of like, it's like widescreen, but it's actually just really steady pace to originally have all of this area cut apart of your face and your body and everything like that, which it's fine, but still it's kind of be best to shoot it in widescreen if you're just basically. But yeah, that's pretty well convinced. And then we also got French subtitles, which is just basically them speaking in French language. So yeah, Osbourne Season 1, definitely worth picking up. Then we go to Season 2 of the Osbournes. We have loaded with wild bonus stuff, includes uncensored and uncensored language tracks. Yeah, that's a pretty well stupid way that they actually did it in Season 2. If you want to just have the uncensored track, then you can click on it. And if you don't want to listen to what they're saying, you can listen to the censored language track, because I mean, compared for this, you have really just the episodes in their proper in the language where they're just speaking. You do have an option to try to just bleep out the words, or you can keep the words while the episode is playing. So that's pretty well good printers right there, because when you play the discs of the episodes, you actually just basically have the option to just basically go with that. But here, this is actually pretty well useful, because the episodes that what they're saying are not bleeping out. They actually are saying pointing towards camera. But here on Season 2, you have an option of that, which I'm going to show you. Let's see if I can do a nice layer of the face up there. Yeah, you can see that up there. If you could pause the video version and actually see it, you could probably get a little next to it. It says uncensored and censored language track, which is meant for all 10 episodes, which I think it's just really stupid, because deep down it's just really not a bad version. But if you want to basically censor stuff and have them all uncensored stuff, to basically not to bleep out all the curse words and everything, go over this one right here because this definitely more versus today. This definitely works for you if you want to. Anyway, moving right on. We have hilarious, never before seen footage. Ozzy transfer for each episode. Yeah, same begins again. You actually just hear Ozzy just speaking his own words in his own proper language in that track. So, pretty awesome. Episode commentary track with the Osbourne family. Set top games. I don't know why they said. I guess there's just the Duke's Revenge. Set top game. What the shit did he say? The trivia game. The Dookie Revenge is actually a pre-sequel version from the first Name That Dookie. What it is it's the same thing as again. You're just matching up the quote unquote dog shit that the dog leave basically match up that poop that the dog was leaving a mark on. So yeah, that's pretty cool. For Name That for What the Shit He Said trivia, it's actually a kind of I think it's I don't know. I haven't really gotten around to basically these games actually before, which I have played the first season of the games itself, but this one's actually just kind of new to me. Also, we have the DVD-ROM materials. We have Crazy Train, trained to become a member of the Osbourne household by playing along with each episode. Yeah, I never really got around to that original feature. I think that's pretty interesting. I never really thought of that originally. That's new to me. So anyway, let's turn to special features. We have Dolby Digital sound quality, full screen, 1 through 33, 1 frame rate. Yeah, same thing again. Full screen, of course, and then French subtitles. So definitely, yeah. I don't know. I just think that getting these back in the collection is actually really. I was very looking forward to it. I mean, personally, I enjoyed the first season, and basically the second, because the second season really became a little bit more kind of like, I don't know how I to say it. I mean, it's not bad, Richard. It's not really totally bad. I think it's pretty okay, Richard. But I think, Richard, if you look at the first season, it's actually a little bit more drama-like, Richard. While the second season is kind of like just dull as it was boring. I mean, you see Kelly trying to just promote herself, basically, release her first ever album, and you see the family just still kind of like do the same as always, which is no comparison to that. But I don't have season 2.5. Not because I just didn't really have mind of it. I just think I just never got around to basically collecting all the Osbourne stuff, especially with the Osbourne DVDs releases. They only release these sets through certain stores like Amazon, or basically you can find these Osbourne DVD sets, which are for dirt cheap, and Amazon. I think the only probable reason is that they stopped really releasing these TV show DVD sets they released for the first season, and they want to get the ball rolling of it. So when season 3 and 4, it was the prime time, knowing that deep down there were some episodes that were a little bit too controversial or a little bit too private, like for the Osbournes not to release these on DVD format. But if you're lucky, if you could basically find those episodes in your own stuff, you could probably have them enjoyed with that. There is one episode I did very enjoy watching, actually, of the first season. It's when they had their first ever meeting, and this is something that I think in one of the features in the never before seen feature, you can actually get more info of them in the entire group and basically meeting, which it's explanatory why the kids are not treated very well perspective as any kind of teenager should be like, going out to a all night, trying to bring friends over to the house, which parents are not approve of basically having their kids or their children bring their friends over to their parents' house. I mean, that's fine. That's I respect that. I had no kids for that. I mean, when I was watching the Osbournes, I was kind of thinking, really thinking, okay, well, maybe they're just kind of doing this for a gag or just basically for money. But they were actually really just doing it because early into the year, I think the mid 90s and into 2000s, they started having a discussion that they will say they will do probably a 4-year contract of doing a reality series. So they did that by trying to make sure they have the camera crew and all the MTV crew which they come to this basically shooting, so they can start production, start really make sure that it's basically getting around to the certain. But deep down, I think that they was never really interested. I mean, I know a fat Jack Osbourne on that interview in season 1 that he didn't want to be in reality. He didn't feel like had no particular desire to be on that show and just basically not even have much. But he went on for it. And Kelly, she just basically said, yeah, I'll definitely do it. I'll definitely give it a shot. And she only did it for 1 season. And when they came back and doing season 2, she just kind of realized, well, this is probably less boring than it is. And the course of this other season that came along, you do see that in them. They get into the fights, they get into the arguments, they disagree a lot of things. But if you watch the episodes, generally, you will basically see some of those episodes are pretty as an interesting topic of basically why our children are basically acting behavior, why they don't feel like they don't get much more respect with their parents if they really just. I mean, deep down for the Osbournes, they're just basically the average conservative British family who are just basically swearing so much, but deep down they always kind of forgive and forget. So what's the harm with that? I mean, personally, I think they're a very well conservative family to me. So yeah, that's what I really want to talk about, Richard, today. I mean, generally, if you are a Osbourne fan or any kind of heavy metal fan or whatever, or just a TV show fan, Richard, you owe yourself, Richard, to get this show, Richard, because it is funny, it is brilliant, it is so much really driven that you watch the Kardashians or that god of the show Jersey Shore. Now that being said, the reason why I'm gossiping out, the reason why I'm not trying to goss out Jersey Shore or basically keeping up with Kim Kardashian, keeping up with the Kardashians, is because they don't really top up of what the Osbournes did. Okay, this is something the Prime Minister for many people who don't pay attention of TV shows nowadays. Because today we have shows like for instance, the Bad Girls Club. A bunch of bitching women just acting like they're bitches and trying to call fights and calling bitches and calling hole and all that stuff, which I probably will in a review of that version maybe someday. But you know what I mean. The kind of shows that you watch now. You know what I'm saying? Today, back then, there was this really shows that just really, which actually just fun and actually just being more funny. But now we have shows that just basically explained by teen girls getting pregnant and makes it become teen moms. We have Jersey folks just basically trying to go out and party, which it's fine, whatever. And then we have girls become bad girls or whatever you call it. I mean, deep down, that's the only reason why I kind of relate something like this, because it's not just because the all going out, rich and getting all partying and basically get all wild and crazy. No, it's like a typical good, simple family show because you got very well considered family who love each other and respect one another, and you also just basically, it's just been a very decided show. So, yeah, personally, I thought, the Osbournes were really well great, especially for over, I think, 50 or maybe 60 years for Ozzy basically, be as the keynote for of heavy metal, rock and roll. I personally didn't have no problem basically watching his show. So deep down, I still can tell it to this day, which is probably one of my favorites, and probably still to this day is probably glad to get back into the collection. So yeah, definitely just looking forward to have that budget back. Definitely have some Ozzy festers in my veins. So yeah, that's pretty much it over this review. I don't know more I can say about it. Just definitely working yourself to get the Osbournes season 1, 2. And if you very catch a good glance of base of season and a half, how can I say, if you glance yourself to get season 2 and a half, you owe yourself versus basically get the Osbournes show, Osbourne DVD sets. But deep down, I'll just let you know they are very well considered family with this swear a lot. So this may not be everybody's their favorite, but if you're very well interesting and if you love Ozzy Osbourne's music, definitely want to pick it up. So that ends our review now. Next up, we'll probably do, I guess, more updates or so, because there are a couple more Blu-rays. I just basically bought recently from Walmart, and I want to basically show off that operation to you, and hopefully get to that. Alrighty. So until next time, this is Ed Brown. Thank you for watching, and sayonara.